Today we're breaking down what the real fighters and combat pros have said about the upcoming Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul matchup. Not internet opinions, but what boxers, champions, and seasoned fighters have publicly predicted or commented about this unusual fight. We'll go through multiple voices in combat sports, compare their predictions, and show you exactly where they stand as this fight gets closer. Tyson Fury, former undisputed heavyweight champion. One of the biggest names in heavyweight boxing, Tyson Fury has weighed in, and his prediction has actually changed over time. Earlier in the build-up, Fury openly suggested that Jake Paul could knock out Anthony Joshua, even describing Joshua as a spent force, and backing the idea that Paul's power and momentum could surprise critics. However, in a more recent update just days before the fight, Fury reversed course, now predicting that he expects the bout to go the full 8 rounds and end on points rather than a knockout for either fighter. This shift is interesting because it shows how perspectives from inside the sport can evolve as the fight gets closer and more information about preparation leaks out. Next, David Haye, former heavyweight world champion. Another veteran of the sport with strong opinions is David Haye, a former 2-division world champion. Haye made headlines by backing Jake Paul to pull off what he described as the biggest upset in sporting history. He openly speculated that Paul beating Joshua isn't impossible, citing unpredictable elements like injury or unusual fight circumstances as key factors. Haye's take is one of the more shocking pro predictions, especially coming from a man who has fought at the sport's highest level and knows firsthand how big fights are won and lost. Next, we have Matt Brown, a veteran UFC fighter. While not a professional boxer, Matt Brown is a veteran MMA fighter and combat sport voice, and his comment was blunt. Brown publicly scoffed at anyone picking Jake Paul to beat Anthony Joshua, calling that choice dumb from a fight knowledge perspective. He emphasized that true boxing understanding overwhelmingly favors Joshua due to skill, experience, and elite competition, even if unpredictable outcomes can occur in any fight. While Brown isn't a boxer by trade, his perspective as a seasoned fighter adds a valuable external voice to the predictions, representing the broader combat sports community. 3 former Jake Paul opponents. A fascinating set of perspectives comes from 3 fighters who have actually fought Jake Paul before. According to Boxing News Online, these former Paul opponents offered conflicting outcomes for a potential Joshua versus Paul fight. Here's how they broke it down. Tommy Fury, Jake Paul's only opponent to beat him, predicted that Joshua would completely dominate Paul, even joking that if Fury himself could beat Paul, Joshua could do it with ease. Tyron Woodley, a former UFC champ who fought Paul twice, offered a more nuanced take. Woodley acknowledged that while Joshua should win, Paul's speed and agility make him dangerous, and said that if Paul lands a clean shot, he could hurt Joshua. Nate Diaz, another UFC legend and past Paul opponent, boldly tweeted that Paul will beat Joshua. So even among fighters who have shared the ring with Paul before, the predictions vary, from clear AJ dominance to outright support for Jake Paul. Barry McGuigan, former world champion boxer. Another traditional boxing voice comes from Barry McGuigan, a former world featherweight champion. McGuigan was highly critical of Jake Paul's prospect in this matchup, calling him a fool and predicting that Paul would be absolutely annihilated by Anthony Joshua due to the huge physical and skill gap between them. This is one of the more emotionally charged pro predictions from someone who's been inside world championship boxing and knows what elite competition looks like. So as you can see, even among professional fighters and experienced combat athletes, there's no single opinion on Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua. Some believe Joshua's experience and heavyweight pedigree make this a straightforward fight. Others think Jake Paul's confidence and power give him a chance to create real problems or at least force uncomfortable moments. That split is exactly why this matchup continues to dominate boxing conversations. Which pro prediction do you agree with the most, and why? Do you side with the fighters backing Anthony Joshua, or do you think Jake Paul has a real shot at shocking the boxing world? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if you want continued updates, reactions, and verified news on this story, make sure to subscribe.